Hi everyone, it's Grada here from the Purple House, and tonight we are talking about a special topic that involves everyone, that affects everyone, including you. I'm 100% sure of it. So, hide it, Peter, because I don't want people to see it. I'm going to ask a question, and if you know the answer to this question, oops, I'm getting all tangled up in my cords. Then you are smarter than most doctors, okay? That means you don't need to go to the doctor. So just see if you know the answer to this question. What's missing in your body? What does your body need when you have high blood pressure, heart disease, kidney and liver damage, migraines, MS, glaucoma, Alzheimer's, recurrent bacterial infections, fungal infections, premenstrual tension, calcium deficiency, diabetes, cramps, muscle weakness, impotence, aggression, fibromyalgia, hearing loss, iron accumulation, kidney stones, gallstones, bloating, yucky poo, and memory loss.
And depression and PMS.
And anxiety.
And anxiety.
This is a trick question. I wonder if you know the answer. So what do all these conditions have in common? Okay.
Did you say diabetes as well? Yep.
Diabetes,
yep.
Plus it answers another question that we got. What do I do to heal or to reduce pain of my gluteus medius tendon, and some other tendons and muscles, right? Okay, if you know the answer to this question, pop it in the comment box. Here's Tina. Tina, do you know the answer?
So we don't need to, if you know it, we don't need to say
anything. If you know it, you can go
we can go to bed.
Okay. This is also the single most important something or other for maintaining proper electrical balance and metabolism in your cells. And so remember, you are just basically a walking, moving bag of trillions and trillions of cells all stuck together, living in a community of cells working for your highest good. And these cells are driven and sparked by something or other that we're talking about right now. And as such, a deficiency of this particular thing in your body is nothing short of disastrous for the cell's life, for you as well. And yet nobody knows about it, okay? So the fact that nobody knows about it, maybe we should. You're going to pop the balloon or what?
One of the most important nutrients that
it's not antibiotics, I can tell you that now, and it's not...
Well, we don't have any deficiency of any drug, so it's not any drug. But
it's not,
we can get deficiencies of minerals and trace minerals, nutrients that we should be getting out of our food, which aren't in the soils that the foods should supply us.
Okay, high blood pressure, it's not a deficiency of high blood pressure or heart tablets. And it's also not, can't remember now what I was going to say. It's not a deficiency of calcium.
And it's not a deficiency of sugar.
And when I said it's not a deficiency of calcium, and lots of people are taking calcium tablets, I'm getting warm. So what is it, Pete? What's the opposite of calcium?
It's the one that forms the partner for calcium, because calcium causes muscle contraction
and aging and graying.
The antagonist to it to cause muscle relaxation that needs to replace calcium in the cell
rejuvenation
is the one we're talking about.
And what is it? All right, I'll see if you can read it. Yes, Jane, you've got it. All right.
Magnesium. True.
There you go. Yeah. Awesome.
So the question also that Grada read out from that person that posted into us.
Magnesium, good on you, Tina.
It's inflammation of the tendon and muscle, and then the inflammation starts to calcify because we often have too much free-floating calcium, because we never, ever ever get enough magnesium.
No, look, in all our years of working, and we've seen, over 10,000 clients, probably close to 15,000 clients, never have I seen anybody who has had enough magnesium in his or her body, except probably Peter sometimes. You were one of those rare specimens.
But I've still got tight hamstrings and
only when he's been through a bit of a crisis with kids or something.
Any stress, we're using up magnesium. So I've probably had plenty of that with...
No, Peter is actually usually pretty good, because I test him regularly, and Philip Rafferty, who is one of my mentors, he has also always, when he tests Peter, to his surprise, Peter's always testing like 100% spot on in everything, which is so annoying. But no, it's good though, I'm really happy about that as well.
But occasionally I do get some cramps, so that's a sure sign of not enough magnesium.
Or maybe when you're cranky.
So I usually take about 4 magnesium every day, and when I tell people that, their eyes open. 4?
But Pete, how many do I take?
You often take 6 to 8.
And I've taken 15 tablets a day, and that's from Dr. Sander Kaba. So we only trust this brand, and we've been using that for over 10 or 20 years nearly already, because it works so well. Because there is magnesium and magnesium on the market, and a lot of magnesium supplements are full of fillers, and they're not doing the trick. So then you end up, feeling desperately ill sometimes, and your magnesium is not working for you because it's just you're taking in fillers, not the really good magnesium. Yeah.
One client, she'd been taking magnesium, excuse me, recommended by a doctor for left-sided muscle spasms, and it wasn't working until she started taking Sandra Cabot's formulation, and within 3 or 4 days all the muscle spasm had disappeared.
Okay, so
the reason being is because there are big and small particles of magnesium. The magnesium has to be carried around the body by attaching itself to another nutrient, another particle of mineral, or so amino acid chelate or whatever. And in Sandra Cabot's formulation, 2 of the components of magnesium are the smallest possible particles that you'll find. So they get into the cells. And that's why it works.
Mm-hmm. So okay, so I'll repeat this again. So magnesium will fix your high blood pressure, magnesium will fix your heart disease, kidney, liver damage, migraines, MS, glaucoma, Alzheimer's, bacterial infections, actually cancer as well. So people, we've had lots of people with cancer, and even when they have chemotherapy, they need magnesium, because magnesium will actually work as a really, really good pain relief. And plus it boosts the immune system massively. It makes your white cells work way, way more effectively. So your white cells are your army of good cells that need to fight the cancer. So it's actually not the cancer drug that fights the cancer, it's your own immune system, of course, that fights cancer cells, and your immune system needs magnesium, as well as iodine, of course, right?
Did you say heart disease?
Heart disease.
Heart disease,
brain disease.
Especially heart attacks. The heart is a muscle.
You can prevent a heart attack by biting down like this on your pressure points. They're like there on your little finger. Yeah, and then, sorry.
You're interrupting me, right?
Okay. And then while I'm biting down on this when I have a heart attack.
Yeah, well, you bite down on that, and I'll explain why.
And Peter can pour down the magnesium into every part of my body, and then the heart attack will disappear. All right.
But the heart is a muscle, so when it's contracting really hard, that's calcium going into the cell, so it'll relax with magnesium. But if it's contracting really hard, it's also contracting the blood vessels all through the heart. So constricting the blood flow to the heart as well.
So the heart, when the heart pumps, it contracts and then it relaxes. So contraction is the action of calcium and relaxation is the action of magnesium. And most of us are always in contraction. We spend our whole life going through life in contraction, even little children already. So little children definitely benefit from magnesium supplementation.
Plus we've had children, teenagers brought to us that haven't been able to sleep. And
what was that one person that came to you the other day?
Well,
within a few months ago.
Yeah, they were brought to us. They were he was a teenager that played sport and developed problems with his Achilles, and he was lying on my bed. I was doing some balancing him for minerals and trace minerals, magnesium included, and he was looking up at the light from my bed, and I said to his mother was sitting there, I said, have you ever noticed your son's pupils? They were like saucers in his eyes. Connected. There we go. Something happened. And that's, if your child's got really big pupils, that's a sign that they're looking out for danger, which is they're on the stress side of an automatic nervous system, and magnesium is the essential mineral to drop you out of that stress side of the automatic nervous system to relax us and help us to go to sleep. That same teenager had trouble dropping off to sleep. He'd lie there for hours not being able to drop off to sleep, and then we've had other teenagers brought to us with anxiety and depression, same thing.
So what did you do then?
Well, I did a kinesiology balance and recommended they have maximum amounts of magnesium orally to what their bowel tolerate. And for the Achilles problem, I asked if they sit around of an evening, either reading, playing games, watching telly or whatever, then sit with their feet in a good Epsom salt foot bath for as long as they can stay with it, at least 20 or 30 minutes with nice warm water and at least a cupful in a foot bath.
Epsom salts is magnesium. So magnesium comes in quite a few different forms here.
Magnesium sulfate is Epsom salts. Mm-hmm. You can get we do have it at the clinic, but you use a lot of it, so we recommend people go to the rural outlets, Roberts in Tasmania, I'm not sure what it is on the mainland. Get a 25 kilogram bag because it lasts a lot longer.
And then you put, like, say, 2 or 3 mugfuls in a bath or a cupful like this in a foot bath, and then it absorbs 3 feet within seconds. It goes into every cell.
The magnesium will displace the calcium molecules that are causing the calcification, but it is also alkalizing, so it
detoxing.
Deacidifies and settles the inflammation down. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they are the few things. And he came back to me. I also did a Bowen treatment as well, and which helps the body rebalance itself. And yeah, after 3 sessions, a week apart, the Achilles was feeling much better. I've had another older chap that was a triathlete. Just before the Noosa triathlon, he couldn't run because of Achilles problems, and with 3 half-hour Bowen treatments and magnesium and Epsom salt foot baths, he was able to run in the triathlon. He came in 3 minutes.
He did a personal best, yeah.
Better than the year before, and with no troubles with his Achilles.
And Peter actually told him to stop training, rest his body, absorb magnesium, and let the Bowen treatments work, right? and to have faith in Peter.
He wondered what I was doing to him when he first had the bone treatment, because it's very subtle. It's a very gentle, subtle.
Yeah, I'll post in a link if you have any trouble, aches or pains, or the lady who asked us about, her sore tendons and stuff. She needs to come and see Peter for a bone treatment. And anyway, if you have any aches and pains anywhere in your body, it always means calcium is stuck in the tissues, because magnesium is not reaching the tissues for whatever reason. And actually the reason is usually that you have some trauma locked in those areas of your body. So the trauma is usually, by the way, from an old injury or an old emotional trauma that you've deeply suppressed. And in fact, you might even have forgotten about what happened to you, because something could have happened when you were age 5 or age 3 or age 2, and you have no memory of it anymore, except your body still has the memory. And to your body, that event is still, it's actually as if it's still happening every day, right? And your body is suppressing it, and that takes a lot of magnesium too. And then calcium gets the upper hand. And so what you need is really to book in for a de-traumatizing session with Sarah, Ann, or Peter, or me, or Tina, and release all those traumas from your body. We specialize in that actually, and we do it really fast. So it's like if you have a garden hose and the water, you turn the tap on, the water starts flowing. That's your life stream, your life flow, or your life force. The force of intelligence that knows what to do with your body. But if you have a little kink here and there, you know what happens. You get deficiency in one spot, and then it comes all squirting out in another spot. And we have that in our body. That's what's causing deficiency. Can be like lack of energy, and like when it all comes squirting out, that would be the pain and inflammation, right? That's the analogy. Yep. So people are always feel so much better after a session, and then you take the magnesium on top, and it just floods to all those areas that have been deficient for many years, and you totally don't recognize yourself. It's like you become a new person.
Plus we have to tell you also that one molecule of sugar displaces 50 molecules of magnesium.
Yeah. So if you have too much sugar, or like
sugary diets,
more than 4 teaspoons a day, that's too much, right?
Or foods that turn to.
Yeah.
And one slice of bread, the flour out of one slice of bread will give us 6 teaspoonfuls.
Yeah. So that's actually starting to leach magnesium from your body. And one potato turns into 9 teaspoons, and one banana turns into 9 teaspoons of sugar. So all those kind of foods, which we think are healthy, are magnesium robbers. They steal you from your magnesium. And also, that's the other thing, you can't ever eat enough magnesium from your food today. You would have to eat probably a wheelbarrow of, say, kale a day, and your body literally can't handle that. So magnesium...
But that also depends whether there's magnesium in the soil.
Which there isn't.
Where the plants are grown, but if the plants are grown with superphosphate, which is conventional farming methods, that binds up the magnesium that's in the soil, so the plants don't get it as good as they should.
Artificial fertilizer are full of cadmium, arsenic and mercury, which also rob you of your magnesium. So that's the bad news. That's how we're fighting a losing battle, and that's how come everyone we see is magnesium deficient. And every person we see, we pretty much balance them up for magnesium. And if you're going through a very stressful time, like I remember one time I had a crisis in the family with one of my children. It was when one of my little grandsons was born, and he wasn't doing very well at the time, and I couldn't be there because he was born in Adelaide, and I wanted to be there, but anyway, we booked a flight for a week later, so I was like churning up, through my nerves. I was actually taking 15 tablets of magnesium a day just to keep my nervous system intact. Because magnesium is like a circuit breaker to your nervous system. So if your nervous system is flooded constantly with adrenaline or nervous or stress energy, you're going to blow up, I guess, one day.
Yeah, plus we're using a lot of energy then, and magnesium...
so magnesium is like a circuit breaker. It steps in and it stops you literally from blowing yourself up, literally. And so you'll know you've had enough magnesium when you go to the toilet, when you get belly aches, you get diarrhea, and you know you have explosive diarrhea. That's when you know you've had enough magnesium, and then you back off a bit.
But if a small amount causes loose bowel actions, then you're not absorbing it at all through the gut, so you need to get it in through the skin.
Yeah, so magnesium oil is a good choice, or the magnesium baths. And Peter, now, we were just going to talk about the bioregulators again, so just talk about that a little bit, Peter. Why we recommend it.
The chlorophyll in green plants is the same formulation as hemoglobin in our human blood, except the hemoglobin is iron, 4 ions to make up the heme, but in chlorophyll it's 4 magnesiums that make up the chlorophyll. But when we have it, well, we get a lot of magnesium, but our bodies can somehow change that chlorophyll also into hemoglobin.
Because one time also, you had it.
So we recommend that for people with low hemoglobin as well as low magnesium levels, or to create
as well as low probiotic levels, as well as low immune system, as well as everything.
It's complete food. 1 scoopful is really a complete meal in a way.
This has been a blessing really to the Robertsons and to many of the Purple House family, because it pretty much covers everything. One time I remember we had an old lady who was, in her last few years of her life, and she had leukemia, a slow leukemia. She needed a blood transfusion every week. And when we actually looked at her blood test, like that we do, it showed that her whole insides were burnt from the chemotherapy and radiation. So she was taking 1 or 2 scoops of this, and she was able to slow her blood transfusion down to once a month. And her gut miraculously healed within 1 month. So her leaky gut and all her burnt, her insides had been burnt from the radiation and the chemotherapy, and it just healed itself. Even at her age, which was totally amazing. I was surprised by that. But this is also very, very safe for little babies. So that's a bioregulators. I'll put a link.
We had a little, how old was she? Only
2 years or something. I don't know.
Yeah, a couple of years with chronic constipation. She only went to the toilet once in 7 days or so, and the doctors were prescribing Aperients, which weren't working terribly well, but she couldn't stay on that all her life, and her parents started syringing this in her mouth and giving it to her as a medicine, and then she continued having it as a drink or in yogurt, and it regulated the bowel really well.
Yeah, and she's still good. This is also actually part of what we call the Purple House breakfast smoothie, which is also called the Purple House cancer busting smoothie. It's all the same thing.
And if I make that smoothie, I put a lot more cream in and a lot more oil. And a glassful will last me from 7 o'clock till about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
A glassful will last me 2 days.
Give me plenty of energy.
So, okay, how do you know if you need magnesium? I'll repeat this again, shall I? But just watch the replay. Okay, if you're suffering from aches and pains anywhere, things like fibromyalgia, high blood pressure, depression, anxiety, that's absolutely magnesium deficiency.
Especially postpartum depression.
All pregnant women should supplement with magnesium all the way through the pregnancy.
And breastfeeding.
And then the because the baby actually takes the magnesium and the placenta takes the magnesium. That's why you should really eat your placenta. But if you don't want to do that, you make sure that you have really big amounts of magnesium before, during and after the birth for as long as you, probably for the rest of your life, if you want to have a good life. We also had a client with chronic high blood pressure, really, really high. He was also an older person. And eventually, after probably a year, he was able to go off his blood pressure medication simply by drinking lots and lots of water. So he was always chronically dehydrated. So he stopped being dehydrated, he started hydrating himself, and he had consistently high magnesium levels. Repeat, like high intake of magnesium.
If the top blood pressure...
He was actually skinny and he walked all the time already, so but that wasn't really putting a dent in his blood pressure. So he was skinny and fit, as in he was able to walk a lot. But he needed to have water and also Himalayan salt and the magnesium,
So the top blood pressure is due to being in the stress side of that automatic nervous system.
In fight, flight.
So magnesium drops that, and then the bottom one, if that's high, the blood vessels are 3 layers of muscle, so magnesium relaxes those muscles and it drops to the lower one, so it's the needed mineral for...
It's absolutely
especially
the most
for high blood pressure.
Deficiency that everyone in the whole world suffers from. And do you know what? If your magnesium levels are intact, so they are like where they should be, it's actually impossible to suffer from depression and anxiety.
500 milligrams of magnesium 3 times a day has been known to, lift depression.
Okay, 500 milligrams, what's that in here? Anyway, so this also comes in a powder. So 500 milligrams might be maybe something like 8 capsules a day, something like that. One of our little grandsons, he's had the powder, which is equivalent to this.
Which is equivalent to 4 tablets. He has a teaspoonful.
Every night.
Which is
adult
dose.
When he was about that size, I couldn't believe it. But he had a lot of tension around here because he actually had like a, what do you call it? The
tongue tie.
Tongue and the lip, bottom and top lip tie. So he was really tight around here till they had it snipped, which was many months later, and then the whole thing released. Anyway, so he had a lot of tension in his body, and if his parents wisely didn't give him the magnesium every night, you know, he was just getting more and more tense.
Plus, he wasn't sleeping well, so he has it now to sleep.
So it's very safe.
So they get a good sleep. So,
because, you know, the worst thing that can happen to you is that you get diarrhea, which isn't the worst thing in the world at all, is it, Pete?
Well, you just back off for a little while, stop for a day or two, and then start again.
Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll post some links as well, like what you can do specifically and what sort of treatments we suggest. If you come for treatments, like I said, we always balance you up for magnesium. But if you just want to do the tablets or the bioregulators, you literally would give yourself a new lease of life. People won't recognize you because you'll be so chilled out. It's good for your brain too, so you're chilled out on one hand, and on the other hand, your brain becomes super sharp, which is like a really good combination, isn't it? And if you've had an accident or you're recovering from something, like you're recovering from an accident or an illness, you need 7 times more than a healthy person. So you have to bear that in mind.
If you play a lot of sport or exercise a lot, then you need a lot more.
Yeah, because I've had people say, oh, I take magnesium every day. And then I ask, well, how much do you take? And they'll say a tablet a day, 1 tablet a day. But that actually, most of the time, doesn't cut it anymore, does it?
Well, it's what they'd probably need if they were sleeping all day.
Yeah. So I hope you've really enjoyed this Facebook Live. And come and visit us at the Purple House. For those of you who live local, for people who are watching and looking in from overseas and so on, jump on the plane and experience Tasmania in spring. It's so beautiful now, or in summer.
Plus you can have a nice cup of coffee and a good piece of healthy raw cake in our coffee corner. Yeah, thank you, Jane, for being the first one to answer it correctly. Plus, Tasmania is a beautiful place, and plus it's green, and green is the color of chlorophyll, which is the color of magnesium. Which is the vibration of unconditional love. That's correct. So surround yourself by green. Green, Any green environment builds up your, makes you feel loved, which of course helps everything in your body, right? That's key. And
All right, I'll finish now.
Okay.
So I hope you have a really good week wherever you are. Stay safe.
Send us in your message.
And just start experimenting.
In your questions. Yep.
Start experimenting with magnesium because your body will love you for it, okay? Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Bye.